Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. I am your host, Viz, and tonight we have three very special guests. We have Pierre Tsigaridis, Rebekah Kennedy, and Max Rancon with us. Guys, thank you so much for being here. They are from the movie Two Witches, which is now streaming wide on demand on the platform of your choice. This is a great film. I'm really excited to chat with all of you about it. First off, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Great. Right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having
having us.
us.
Yeah, congratulations on this film. It's something different in a way that I really can't put into words. And Pierre, the way you deliver this to us is really something special. You directed this film. But Max, I want to start off with you. Two Witches was initially shown at the Salem Film Festival back in
Yes.
2021, and then it was released to the public a year later. What was your reception going back to 2021 at that horror film festival?
It was great. We had a blast. It was actually our first like festival. We went there. We thought it was really on brand for the movie because it's Salem and we made a movie about witches and witchcraft. So when we had the opportunity to premiere the film in front of people for the first time in Salem, it just sounded
That's
just
perfect.
perfect for us.
Yeah,
We got a great vibe with Kay, the organizer of the festival, and we're friends now. And she had us like have a great premiere. Really, like we didn't know if the room would be full, if there would be people coming to see our movie. Really, it was kind of nerve-wracking when we got there because everything was really popping over there, and all of these, everybody was wearing like witches hats and everything. It was on, what was the date? Was it October 1st or
it
something?
It
Yeah,
was
was.
October 1st, yeah.
Yeah, it was
October
getting
1st.
close to
So
Halloween. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
definitely the right time, right place, and I'm glad you guys got to experience all of that. Now,
incredible.
Rebecca, it is great to have you back with us. You
Yeah.
play Sasha, this
Masha.
Masha. Sorry.
Close.
I
So
even have it
close.
in my notes too. Masha.
It's
Okay,
fine.
Masha, freaky, weird, socially awkward witch. And she's not afraid to talk about the fact that she is a witch. Um, your character reminded me of Carrie in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. Now, how did you approach the mindset of Masha?
Yeah. So she was so fun. I remember when reading the script, I just thought like how much fun this would be to explore. And as far as how I approached her, because it's easy to see like exactly what you saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bombastic part, the witch part, the creepy, and all that is great, and all of that is written in. Pierre had all that stuff, but he also had the underbelly. He had what she was really going through. This was a woman that was lonely, felt lost, felt unseen, felt like no one really understood her, and that's what she wanted.
Yeah,
So I started there. I started with the parts that I could relate to, which I think everyone can relate to that. We all feel lonely at times. We
mm-hmm.
all feel unseen. We all feel like, like people aren't really seeing who we are. So I started
Exactly.
there with who she really was underneath. And then I was able to layer all of the other stuff on top so that, hopefully we got a, well-rounded character in that.
You did. And I got to tell our audience, this film has like an amazing score on Rotten Tomatoes. And I normally really do not pay attention to any critics, but I agree with them on this one. Now, Pierre, you, as well as being the director, you were part of the writing team with Max and Christina Klebe. This film can be seen as sort of two stories, uh, but they're not. They're really interconnected, but they're told in a very unique way. How did you guys come up with this concept on how you were going to tell this story?
Yeah, so we had I had ideas like initially I had ideas about like stories around me that I was either told or that I had experienced that involved, witchcraft and spells or, like
weird spiritual happenings. So it's, I would say, like kind of like a lot of stuff is actually based on real stuff,
Mm.
and some stuff, for example, based on the evil eye, folklore that my dad, who's Greek, would tell me.
I'm very
Um,
well aware of that. Yep.
yeah, okay, I love that. So, for example, the initial first scene, that's a story of my dad and my mom, where my dad was like having a dinner at a restaurant with my mom, and my mom felt like there was like this older woman across that was looking at her weird, and that would trigger her like some like nausea and sickness.
Mhm.
So that was like one story. I had a bunch of stories like that, and it was like the idea was to try to have like this patchwork of story and try to blend them together and make like a patchwork of witchcraft stories,
Hmm.
and make them make have them make sense, all of them together.
And it
um
does. Did you have any challenges when it came time to shooting on how you were going to interweave these two stories into one narrative?
yeah, I guess we had challenges. We had challenges because we were shooting during the pandemic, so we had to stop at some point. So we would stop, and then I would be able to edit. So then I would look at the things we have,
Hmm.
and then with Max and Christina, we could like bounce, or like especially with Max, we would be on the phone and we'd be like, okay, so then what if we just do this instead of that, and so on. So yeah.
It worked out great. Now,
And
Max,
yeah.
uh, going with the first half of the story, Paul and Sarah, what was your take? You're part of the writing team. What's your take in regards to their relationship? Okay, explain to me how you see Paul and Sarah's relationship.
Are we so Simon and Sarah, right? Are we Simon and Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's Simon.
Is it
Simon.
Simon? Okay,
So
my
you mean
bad.
you mean the first couple in the movie, right?
Yes, yes. I'm having a
Yeah,
bad
well,
Right,
day
there's a
with.
lot
I'm
of
having a
characters.
bad day with character names. Let me tell you.
that's okay. You already remembered our names, so you're good.
That's all that
Uh,
matters.
Yeah.
my take on their relationship, I think it was we're just trying to show a normal relationship of a couple, and of a guy that's kind of not really listening to his girlfriend at the time, like, and who's not really listening to the way that she's feeling, because they're going through something new. She's pregnant. He's not really on the same page with her, and she's experiencing something kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
So it's hard for him to relate to her, and to actually see what's coming. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe he should have paid a little bit more attention to what she was saying instead of dismissing her constantly. And that's kind of like the idea that we had for Simon. It's like, is this guy who doesn't believe really, and
Hmm.
who's that eternal skeptic, and who will actually pay the price for this
Oh yeah.
at some point in the movie. So yeah.
Now, Pierre, in your directing style, I like how I don't even know how to describe it. You do these quick takes from a person being normal face to this like sort of possession mode with the white eyes and sort of demonic looking face. Tell us what was your inspiration for you wanting it to direct it that way and to display it that way.
Yeah, so yeah, I really like to put the emphasis on facial features, because I think, like a facial expression is really conveys more, sometimes more
Mm-hmm.
fear than anything else. And even when we see like masks that are, scary, they're usually based off of a facial expression anyways, from.
Yeah.
So the idea was to really, yeah, really explore that. I think I don't know, my inspiration for faces like that, I think would be.
Well, it was not just the faces; it was the way, like the take went from a completely normal face to like instantly being
Yeah,
possessed. I found
yeah,
that very fascinating,
yeah,
and it really
the
stands
transition.
out. It really stands out that
Well,
transition
thank you.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's, a face, like there's like so many muscles on a face that can do so many intricate things, that I think, it's interesting to, like you said, to do the transition from a like a relaxed phase that's normal, that everybody's like is used to seeing, especially on an actor that
Hmm.
that's been playing the scene, and then something is really like a twitch, or like flexing the muscle a certain way. There was one time, for example, I was at a party, and there was this person in the hallway, and it was like this guy, and he was like standing still, and as I walked by, this guy like started to he wanted to puke, but he started to do like this really unexpected face of like
Hmm.
this really like contorted face. I remember that image being like so striking, and it's like the guy was about to puke, but it actually was scary
Yeah,
because
yeah, I could totally
because the
see it.
transition was unexpected, and I think, so that you know
I think
I was
that's
like,
it. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the unexpectedness of
yeah,
it, as well
We
and
as
talk
the.
about
the
this all the
fast
time.
transition.
Hmm. And the.
That's
Yeah,
something that we talk about all the time with Pierre when we're trying to like think about something scary. It's like we always say like the most unexpected thing is always the scariest. So a movement that you don't see much, or something that would be weird for someone to do, is always something that gets,
yeah.
like it shocks your brain, so it's scarier.
Yeah, I
Yeah, there's
totally agree.
also people sometimes that are addicted to like drugs, like heavy drugs. They have like little, they're almost like people that have Tourette's. They'll do
Yeah,
weird faces. That's something they can't control. Some
ticks and stuff
when
like
they're like
that.
in withdrawal or something.
Hmm.
And again, it's like faces that have nothing to do with the situation. So then it's like a face that comes out of nowhere, and
Yeah, and that in
yeah.
itself makes it pretty scary.
Mhm.
Now, Rebecca, Masha comes across uh, as a person who thinks she's invincible. She can do whatever she wants because, hey, I'm a witch. I can do whatever I
Mhm.
want. I am untouchable. Until she comes into that confrontation near the end with Dustin. Did I get that character's name right?
Yes.
Oh,
You did.
God, thank God. First time. All right. Now, in that confrontation with Dustin, you show us this look on your face of basically coming to reality and fear, the fear that was in your face. Wow, what an emotional, powerful emotion.
Thank you.
For me, that showed the naiveness to Masha. Do you agree with that? Is she
Yeah,
naive to the world around her?
I think so. I think so, absolutely. I think that she at that point was thought that she was very powerful. I mean, look what she had done to Christina's, my roommate Rachel, her mother,
Yeah.
and what I had done to Rachel. The movie's been out long enough, so
Oh, yeah.
don't try not to spoil. But you know, so at that point, I think come at me, but I don't expect it. I don't expect him to actually come at me, and then like you said, I realize that I actually don't know really what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not prepared, and I'm still that girl that is scared and lonely and vulnerable and doesn't know what she's doing is still underneath, and that's when she comes out at the end.
And does that also explain, in your mind, her infatuation with her roommate Rachel, which is played by Christina Kleby? Is that why she's so infatuated with her, obsessed, stalker-like with her?
Yeah, I think so. I think she wants her life. She sees that she has a boyfriend who loves her, and she has parents that love her and care about her, and she has a life. She has friends. People don't think that she's weird. People don't say that she's weird. And so she wants that life. And of course, Masha obviously goes, way too far. But yeah, I mean, she sees this person that has the life that she wants. And so it's like, well, why not take it?
Absolutely. Now, Max, Pierre told us about his research into witchcraft. How about you? Did you do any kind of looking into the history, with the Salem, what happened in 1692, or any other kind of witchcraft for this story?
Yeah, I mean, to different levels, like of course always interested in the sound trials and you know all of the actual folklore around witches and witchcraft. At the same time, I've always been like a big fan. It's more PG than Two Witches, but I've always been a Harry Potter fan. Like that was one of my
of course.
favorite introduction as a kid to the world of wizards and witches. And I've always thought that there was like these crazy stories to say about this. And being a horror fans, obviously, like we were interested into the darker side of witches, like with movies also, like you know, like The Witch, or you know, like The Craft and things like that, the Blair Witch Project, like all of these things that really kind of, you know, made us fans of the genre altogether. And it was really cool to be able to get on to give a take on this universe and do it in this kind of crazy way, you know.
And even in the Harry Potter movies, you have to admit, as each movie progressed, and you get to the last one, they got darker and darker and darker.
Absolutely.
Till you got
There's
to the
this
last
whole
one.
thing. There's this whole thing about like the fight between evil and the good, right? Like the wizards that are nice and the wizard that are bad, and that's definitely something that we plan on you know talking about in the sequel of Two Witches, and it's something that we want to bring up to the screen, because I love the way that you say like Masha and her awkwardness and everything. And I always say that, you know, the way that Masha is getting her power and everything, she's so awkward because it's kind of like this puberty type of moment where she's getting powerful and she doesn't know what to do with her powers, and she's experimenting, and she, you know, does some goofy things and dangerous things and everything. And it's like, that's what the first movie is about. And that's why it's kind of also the movie, the way it's made might feel a little awkward to some people, but it's kind of to the image of Masha becoming a real witch. And now the story can really begin.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And we're looking forward to that. And by the way, at the end of this movie, this is a little bit of a spoiler, it does say to be continued. So there is going to be a Two Witches Part 2, which I'm really excited about. Now, Pierre, this movie has its fair amount of gore, okay? Normally in witch-type movies, it's really not associated with that much gore. I'm not saying this is blood from start to finish, not in any way, but it has its good fair amount of gore. What made you feel it necessary to put in the amount of gore that you did?
Well, I didn't really think it like that. I feel like I was more thinking like, how can we show witchcraft in a under a different light from you know the stuff we have seen in the past. So how can we show like spells and nasty spells and witches, you know, try to articulate witches a little bit more like slasher villains. You know, that's why we have the first witch was literally called the Boogie Woman, because you know it's like she's kind of like a boogeyman in like Friday the 13th. Like she bulldozes her way through, you know, the first part of the movie. So the idea was to show the effects of spells and to make it you know, really fast paced and really more grindhouse kind of type of movie that we don't really see in witchcraft movies. You know, witchcraft movies usually they're kind of like slow paced, slow burn. They're more about the things we don't see.
Yeah,
like
the Witch is a perfect example of that.
Exactly. So we kept the idea of like the evil witch, like in The Witch, or like the folklore, but we just put that on steroids with a lot of blood, like you would say.
Now, I watch films, TV, everything I watch it with the subtitles on. Not because I am hard of hearing or anything. I just think that if you're watching it, there are some things that you miss in the dialogue, and that's why I've gotten used to watching with closed captions. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is, while watching this film, in the closed captions, the voice that we hear that's coming from the darkness is labeled as the devil, but it's not really referred to that way in the movie. What are your thoughts about that, Pierre? Is that accurate? Is that inaccurate? Or is that too much information for you to share right now?
No, it's not too much information. I think it's more the devil as a
metaphor.
We don't really have a lot of Christianity in the movie, or you know, we don't really put the stress on that. I think it's more like there's this dark what's the word? Deity? Deity? How do you say it?
Deity, yeah.
Deity, yeah. It's like this darker deity that actually looks like a woman, and
I mean, so it's something, unhuman, whether it's a demon or the devil itself. It's dark.
exactly,
That's all that really
exactly.
matters.
Yeah, that's what really matters.
Now, Rebecca, I want to throw the last question to you. We were talking about gore just a second ago. You were put into some elaborate makeup and you were a part of those special effects. Tell us what that was like.
Yeah, our makeup artist KO did the talking about the burns at the end, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she did that on me. How long did it take Pierre? About 2.5 hours, I'd say.
I think so, at least.
Something
Yeah.
like that. She's incredible. I mean, she did all that, like, yeah, we did it in about 2.5 hours. And then that was definitely one of the challenging scenes, only because, like Pierre said, we filmed it during the pandemic. And
Mhm.
so we filmed everything separate. So I was by myself when we filmed that, and then
Yeah.
Pierre would tell me which way to look and like who I was seeing and where I was seeing them and what was happening, because I didn't have any of the other actors there.
Wow.
So it was really cool to see that come together at the end, because I had no idea exactly how it was
So
gonna
all
work.
the actors in that room were completely isolated in separate locations?
Yes.
It was the same location, just not at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same location, just not at the same time.
Wow.
So working with the prosthetics, and Pierre and Max were both really great at, and through the whole film, about helping me figure out what looks good, how far I can go, if I can go further, making my face really be able to contort and express whatever I was needing to express underneath it all. So that was interesting. I've worked with prosthetics before. I've done full face, so it's always interesting how you can contort them and how you can make different facial expressions now that you have something else covering. So it's
Absolutely.
really interesting. And then of course the stuff that comes out at the end was like I don't even know, it was like bananas and
It was
applesauce
bananas. It was
Yeah.
bananas.
to make that gross
That's pretty
stuff
creative.
again.
Max, before we go in talking about the sequel, can you share what stage is it in? Writing, filming, ideas?
So yeah, we're excited to give a little bit of an update, because we have people asking, obviously. The movie is written. We are planning on starting shooting by this summer, if I'm not
Nice.
saying anything too crazy. So it will definitely come out, I would say, hopefully the year next year, probably
2024.
2024. We'll see, depending on the festival run and everything, like maybe 2025. But we will definitely be sharing a lot of content around the movie and everything. We're actually right now shooting another movie with Rebekah again. That's won't share the title, but it will be public pretty soon.
Nice.
But we're very, very excited to bring this other film to the people who enjoy Two Witches, and maybe the ones who didn't enjoy it also. We're super excited to be working with Rebekah again and with some great people, and we think that this movie is going to make some people pretty afraid.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure it
been
will.
so fun.
I'm sure it will, and I know I cannot wait. I want to thank all you guys, Rebecca, Pierre, Max, for coming on and sharing about the movie. It's called Two Witches. It is available right now on basically your streaming platform of choice, whether it's Amazon, Apple TV, Vudu. It's there. Rent it, buy it, check it out. You won't be disappointed. It is fantastic film, deep in story, characters, and some gore as well. I want to thank our audience, those of you who are tuning in live and those who will be watching this later on. On behalf of Rebecca, Pierre, and Max, and myself, stay safe, stay walking. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.